Think with me for a moment. How many people do you know who have distanced themselves from religion but continue seeking something greater? Who stopped attending temples but still feel a deep emptiness in their chest when night comes and silence weighs heavy? Imagine if I told you there exists a form of prayer that doesn't need doctrine, doesn't require affiliation, doesn't demand obedience to dogmas. A prayer that is born from your own restless soul and connects with the sacred that already exists within you. There exists a subtle truth that imprisons millions of people in the silence of their own battles, the belief that spirituality is the exclusive property of organized religion. This trap is not an external problem, nor an enemy we can see with our eyes. It's an internal void, silent and deep, created by the false separation between the sacred and the human. Today, here on Daily Prayer, we're going to reveal how to break through this invisible barrier and how to make space for an authentic connection with the divine that doesn't need intermediaries, complex rituals, or external approval. And pay attention. What you're going to discover until the end may completely transform your understanding of what it means to pray. Because the most powerful revelation, the most liberating of all, will come last. Welcome to Daily Prayer, a place of prayer, presence, and daily inspiration, created especially so you never walk alone on your spiritual journey, regardless of which path your soul has chosen to follow. If you feel this content might touch your soul in some way, please subscribe to the Daily Prayer channel. Leave your like so more people can find this message, and share with someone who is also seeking this authentic connection. Your comments feed our community of seekers. I stopped praying for a long time, not from lack of spiritual thirst, but because I got tired of ready-made formulas. I got tired of repeating words that didn't come from my heart. I got tired of feeling guilty for questioning, for doubting, for not being able to fit my restless soul into predefined molds. For years, I carried the feeling of being spiritually orphaned, as if I had lost the right to converse with the sacred the moment I questioned the structures, the moment my mind could no longer accept simple answers to complex questions. Maybe you also know this feeling. This strange place between the need for transcendence and the inability to submit to absolute truths that others defined for you. This uncomfortable space where your soul yearns for connection, but your critical mind can no longer stay silent. It was in this void that I discovered something revolutionary. Prayer is not submission, it's conversation. It's not desperate pleading. It's recognition of presence. It's not about finding the right answers. It's about asking the right questions. The first prayer I made after years of silence was brutally honest. I don't know if you exist. I don't know your name. I don't know your rules, but I'm here, confused, seeking, ready to listen. And you know what happened? The universe didn't collapse. No divine punishment descended upon me. On the contrary, I felt something I hadn't experienced in years: authenticity. The feeling that I was finally being myself before the mystery of existence. Dr. Carl Jung, pioneer of analytical psychology, said that the problem of modern man is not the absence of the sacred, but the loss of personal language to connect with it. We lost the capacity to create our own bridge with the transcendent. Prayer for those who have no religion but have soul begins exactly there, in the courage to be authentic before the mystery, in the honesty of admitting we don't know everything, but still seek something greater than ourselves. This is not a prayer of memorized words. It's a prayer of presence, of recognition, of openness to what is, without trying to force what should be. You don't need to believe in anything specific to begin. You just need to be willing to sit with yourself, to breathe consciously, and to recognize that there exists something in you that is greater than your daily worries, your fears, your limitations. In the next parts of this journey, we'll explore together how to build this personal bridge with the sacred, how to create your own ritual of connection, how to transform questionings into prayers and doubts into portals of transcendence. But before we continue, I want you to breathe deeply with me. Inhale, exhale. Feel your body here now. Feel your heart beating. what you're feeling. This awareness of being alive, of being present, this is already sacred. This is already prayer. The most powerful prayer you can make doesn't need words. It needs courage. The courage to sit with yourself without distractions, without music, without anything to fill the void you so fear finding. Because it's exactly in that void where the sacred dwells. For decades, they taught us that prayer is asking for protection, asking for healing, asking for prosperity, asking for forgiveness. As if we were eternal beggars before a cosmic counter, hoping our plea would be heard among millions of others. But what if prayer were the opposite? What if it were about stopping asking and starting to listen? Stopping talking and starting to feel? Stopping pleading and starting to recognize? Dr. Eckhart Tolle, student of consciousness, discovered something revolutionary. Full presence is by itself a state of prayer. When you are completely here, completely now, without resistance to the present moment, you are in direct communion with the source of all that exists. Let me guide you through an experience. Right now, wherever you are, close your eyes. Yes, even if you're listening while doing other things, for a few minutes, give yourself the gift of full presence. Breathe naturally. Don't force anything. Just observe your breathing happening. Inhale, exhale. Feel the air entering through your nostrils, filling your lungs, leaving slowly. Each breath is a silent miracle happening within you without you needing to control anything. Now feel your body, its weight in the chair, on the bed, wherever you are. Feel your feet touching the ground, your hands resting. You are a physical being made of flesh and bone, but inhabited by something that cannot be touched, weighed, or measured. This consciousness that observes your breathing, that feels your body, that hears these words. What is it? Where does it come from? Where does it go when you sleep? You don't need to have answers. In fact, it's better that you don't, because authentic prayer doesn't happen in the place of ready answers. It happens in the place of accepted mystery, in the place of sacred curiosity about your own existence. Now, still with eyes closed, repeat with me these words, but not as a memorized formula. Repeat as someone discovering each word for the first time. I exist. Feel the weight of this affirmation. I exist among billions of possibilities. Again, let this echo within you. I'm aware of my own awareness. Breathe deeply. I'm a unique experience of the universe knowing itself. Stay a few seconds in silence. Just feel. What you just experienced was not a traditional prayer. It was something much deeper. It was the recognition of the miracle you are. Not the miracle of your achievements, your talents, your successes. The miracle of your pure conscious existence. Philosopher Simone Weil, who moved between mysticism and skepticism, discovered that the purest prayer is attention. Total attention to the present moment, to the very experience of being alive, without judgment, without hurry, without agenda. You just prayed, without mentioning any divine name, without following any doctrine, without asking anything of anyone. You simply recognize the sacred that already dwells within you. But perhaps part of you still resists. Perhaps an internal voice says, this isn't real prayer. Real prayer needs the right words, right postures, right times. This voice is the echo of old conditioning. The echo of those who taught you that you are not enough as you are, that you need mediators to connect with the divine, that your personal language with the sacred has no value. But your soul knows the truth. Your soul always knew. You don't need permission to converse with the mystery of existence. You don't need titles, certificates, or external approval to recognize the sacred pulsing in every cell of your body. The next time you feel the need to pray, remember, you don't need specific words. You need presence. You don't need a sacred place. You are the sacred place. You don't need to find the divine out there. You need to recognize the divine that was always here inside. And if you made it this far, if these words touch something deep in you, write in the comments, I recognize the sacred in me. Let's create a community of people who discovered that the most powerful prayer is one born from authenticity, not obedience. But perhaps you still wonder, how can I create my own way to pray? How can I be sure I'm doing it right? And it's exactly this question that reveals the deepest conditioning we need to dissolve. There is no doing it right when it comes to conversing with your own soul. There is only honesty, vulnerability, authentic presence before the mystery of being alive. Let me share something that completely changed my perspective. A few years ago, I went through a period of profound darkness. It wasn't clinical depression, but that kind of existential emptiness that makes you question the meaning of continuing. Traditional prayers no longer made sense. Asking for help from a distant God seemed like a conversation with an echo. It was then that I began to pray in a completely different way. I began to pray with anger, with doubt, with fear, with all the emotions they always told me weren't spiritual enough. My first honest prayer was, I don't understand anything anymore. I'm lost. I'm tired of pretending I have faith when I only have questions. If there's something greater than me, show me, but not with miraculous signs. Just show me how to keep being human amid chaos. And you know what happened? For the first time in years, I felt a response. Not an external voice, not a vision, not a mystical sign. I felt a deep relief for finally being truthful with myself, for stopping playing the role of the good believer and starting to be just human. Neurologist Dr. Andrew Newberg discovered something fascinating. When we pray or meditate authentically, our brain activates the same areas related to unconditional love and deep compassion. It doesn't matter if you're praying to Jesus, Allah, Buddha, the universe, or simply to the mystery of existence. What matters is the quality of your attention, the sincerity of your heart. Now, I want to teach you a form of prayer that doesn't need temples, schedules, or sacred words. It's a prayer you can do anywhere, anytime, and it works especially well for those with a questioning mind like yours. Sit comfortably, breathe naturally. Now, instead of asking for something, let's practice what I call recognition prayer. We're going to recognize what's already here, now, within and around you. Start like this. I recognize the life pulsing in my body. Feel your heart beating, your blood circulating. I recognize the intelligence that coordinates my organs without me needing to think about it. Marvel at this silent miracle. I recognize the consciousness that observes my thoughts. Who is noticing your own thoughts at this moment? I recognize that I am part of something greater. Feel connected to all that exists. I recognize that I don't need to understand to belong. Let this truth settle in you. I recognize that my spiritual search is sacred, even when it's full of doubts. Breathe deeply. Stay a few moments in silence. What you just experienced is pure prayer. It had no desperate requests, no pleas, no fear of divine judgment. It was just recognition. Gratitude for the life already pulsing in you. Admiration for the mystery you are. The poet Rumi, who also moved between spiritual traditions, wrote, "You are not just the drop in the ocean, you are the entire ocean in each drop." When you pray this way, recognizing the sacred that already dwells within you, you're not asking for the divine to come closer. You're recognizing that they were never separated. But here is the deepest revelation, the one I promised from the beginning. You don't need to believe in any of this for it to work. You don't need faith in God's angels, conscious universes, or cosmic energies. You just need to have curiosity about your own existence. You just need to be willing to sit with yourself without judgment. You just need to recognize that there's something in you that is greater than your worries, your fears, your limitations. This sacred curiosity, this silent admiration for your own consciousness, this is already prayer. This is already connection. This is already transcendence. And it doesn't matter how many times you doubt, how many times you feel lost, how many times your mind criticizes this approach. Your soul recognizes truth when it finds it. And the truth is that you always had direct access to the sacred. You never needed intermediaries. You never needed external approval. What you needed was courage to trust your own spiritual experience. And now we reach the most powerful revelation, the one that can completely revolutionize your relationship with the sacred. Prepare yourself, because what I'm going to share challenges everything they taught us about spirituality. You don't need to become a better person to deserve spiritual connection. You don't need to heal your wounds first. You don't need to solve your problems. You don't need to stop doubting, questioning, having bad days. You don't need to be pure, enlightened, or special. The sacred accepts you exactly as you are now, with your imperfections, with your contradictions, with your wounds still open, with your wavering faith. This is the fundamental difference between institutional religion and authentic spirituality. Religion often says, first purify yourself, then approach. The soul says, come as you are. Your imperfection is part of your humanity, and your humanity is sacred. Dr. Kristin Neff, pioneer in self-compassion studies, discovered that unconditional acceptance of ourselves activates the same neural circuits as the experience of divine love. When we stop fighting against our own humanity, we open space for natural transcendence. I'm going to teach you now the most liberating prayer that exists. It's a prayer you can make on your worst days, when you feel furthest from the sacred, when your faith is hanging by a thread. Breathe with me, close your eyes again, and repeat these words, but not as a memorized mantra. Repeat as someone giving themselves permission to be human. I accept myself imperfect. Feel the relief of stopping the fight against yourself. I accept myself questioning. Your doubt is not sin, it's intellectual honesty. I accept myself in process. You don't need to be ready. You can be becoming. I accept myself exactly where I am on this journey. This moment, with all its limitations, is sacred. I allow my spiritual search to be unique. Breathe deeply. You don't need to copy anyone's journey. I trust the wisdom of my own soul. Stay in silence for a few moments. Feel this truth settling in. What you just experienced was not just a prayer. It was a revolutionary act of self-love. It was the recognition that you have the right to a spirituality that makes sense to you, that honors your intelligence, that welcomes your questions. The medieval mystic Marguerite Porete was burned at the stake for teaching something similar, that each soul has direct access to the divine without need for mediators. That authentic spiritual experience cannot be controlled by institutions, that the sacred reveals itself in unique ways to each person. You carry within yourself a temple that no one built, a light that no one lit, a wisdom that no one taught you. This is your spiritual inheritance. It doesn't matter where you were born, how you were raised, what mistakes you made. This belongs to you by the simple fact of existing. Prayer for those who have no religion but have soul is the prayer of radical authenticity. It's the courage to present yourself to the mystery of existence exactly as you are, without masks, without pretensions, without trying to be who you think you should be. And here is the most beautiful paradox. When you stop trying to be spiritual and simply are human, you discover that being human is already spiritual. When you stop seeking the sacred out there and recognize the sacred in here, you realize they were never separated. Your heart beating is a prayer. Your breathing happening is a prayer. Your consciousness observing this moment is a prayer. Your sincere search for meaning is a prayer. Even your doubts are a prayer, because they are the honest expression of a soul that refuses to accept superficial answers. The ritual ends here, but the presence continues. You don't need to repeat these words every day to deserve spiritual connection. You don't need to strive to be worthy. You are already worthy, without prayer, without effort, just by existing. If this message touched your soul, if you recognized something true in these words, become part of our community of authentic seekers. Subscribe to Daily Prayer. Share this video with someone who is also questioning, also seeking, also thirsty for transcendence without dogma. And if you watched until here, write in the comments, "My soul recognizes my soul." Let's form a spiritual family based on acceptance, not judgment. On curiosity, not certainty. On humanity, not perfection. On the screen are appearing 2 videos that can deepen your journey even further. How to meditate when you can't stop thinking, and forgiveness for those who don't believe in divine forgiveness. These videos are natural continuations of this conversation, made especially for questioning souls like yours. Remember, you are not alone in this search. Your unique spirituality is a gift to the world. Keep questioning, keep seeking, Keep being authentically you. The sacred celebrates your courage to be real. Until our next conversation, may your soul find peace in its own journey.